Morning, welcome back to the shop. It's Monday morning. Been a pretty good weekend. Actually, I had my 30th high school class reunion. I didn't go to the reunion part because I didn't really care for high school. But I did meet up with a few buddies of mine. It was good to see them. I hadn't seen them in a long time, so that was all good. But anyways, back at the shop where I got an order for 2 state-shaped turkey mounts. Those are going to go out this week, and then I will also going to make a whole bunch of plain oak turkey mounts. I'm just trying to get inventory well ahead. I'm trying to do better about having a lot of inventory on hand. I've never really been able to do that in the past because I didn't have the wood supply, and that's one of the things I've done is I've tried to have a better supply of wood on hand. With my small shop, it's really hard to store wood, so I actually added a small storage shed that is dedicated just to wood storage. That works out really well, so I can keep up to 10-foot lug boards out there, and then I just bring in as I need and store underneath my CNC. That's worked out really well. It's kind of been a game changer as far as keeping up with inventory. So the goal is to actually get my delivery times, my advertised delivery times down to say 3 to 5 days instead of 1 to 2 weeks. I was always afraid of overselling and not being able to deliver, so it's better to under promise and over deliver. That keeps customers a heck of a lot happier, but hopefully with having a faster advertised delivery time, I'll get even more sales, and then that's where I see I'm going to be able to grow this business. I want to get more into building tables and more custom furniture like that, but you're limited by your local market to an extent. I don't really want to get into trying to ship big bulky items. I just think that's going to be a nightmare, especially for a one-man show like me. It's going to be hard to compete with other people that do that. So sometimes you got to stay in your lane, but I do want to branch out eventually. That's why I built that oak table a couple episodes ago, and I'm just trying to get myself out there. I've built a few for people. Excuse me. Sorry, my sinuses are all jacked up. It's been so dry here. But anyways, so yeah, we're just trying to build the business day by day, and eventually I want to have a little bit bigger shop, but for right now I feel like this is where I'm supposed to be. I'm able to kind of peek in on my parents on a daily basis, and they're getting up there. Dad's 80 years old, and Mom's not too far behind him, and affords me the freedom to be able to do the things that they need help with, or do things that I know they can't do anymore and stuff like that. But so anyways, enough of all that stuff. Let's get to work. I got 2 turkey mounts to make, and I don't know, we'll see how many more I can get roughed out today. So just sit back and enjoy the show. there's our first pieces cut out. You can see that I've used pretty much all of this board. I always have to adjust my programs because there's always a flaw. Like this board here happens to have a crack that runs pretty well. It is almost half the distance of the board, but there's still lots of good wood. I used to just make what I needed, and then I'd save these pieces, and I'd have a load of scraps, and then I'd just take a day and I would go through and just make what I could make out. In this case, it was good to get these front pieces out of these extra spots here, and that makes, I make that extra head, and then if I have one that basically grenades in when it's cutting out, or something goes wrong, or it just doesn't look quite right, I can use those in the future and save myself a lot of time. And I've already only had to do one setup, so this thing can run while I'm doing other stuff on the drill press or sanding or whatever. Just another way that I've figured out how to make myself more efficient with the time that I have. And really the only waste in this whole board is right here. There's really nothing that of my products that I make that I would get out of this little piece here. And I've got this big knot here that has a huge hole in it. So as you can see there, so that's really not usable. So the rest of this is just firewood. I've got my money out of the board and we move on with life. So we're going to take all these boards and pretty much do the same thing. We get out of it what I can. Goal today is to fill a bin full of turkey mounts. That's quite a few. But if I could get all this roughed out today, I'd be pretty happy. It takes about, I don't know, 20-25 minutes a board to get. I'll probably get at least 3 or 4 out of each one of these, and you can see I've got some flaws in these, but that's nothing major. So worst case is you fix the flaws and you call it rustic. But other than that, I mean, probably 2/3 of them will be, you know, grade A turkey mounts. The rest of them will be a little bit lower, so we'll grade it at rustic. That's kind of how I do some of my stuff. I've got plenty more in the woodshed, and then I'll restock my supply underneath. That's my goal for the day. So I was able to get all this stuff is ready to finish. I've got just a couple spots on these rustic ones that need to be final fill, just touched up a little bit, no big deal there. And then I got these laser this morning, so these are ready to finish today. Get all this stuff assembled today. And if all that takes place, then we'll have had a pretty good day in the shop. So yeah, let's get this stuff finished up and I'll... So there we've got all our little flaws all patched up, so it's all finished nice. It all filled in. This will finish really cool. Just something to add a little bit of character to your piece. People like that. It's better than just the boring straight grain, in my opinion. That's just me. I saw plenty of it both ways. Everybody has their likes and dislikes. I always strive to have basically the perfect pieces, but it's wood, so it's a natural product. It's going to have its little character spots like this one here. The grain is just a little different on that guy. But anyhow, right now we're ready to get these finished, and that's what we're going to do. Got these all finished up, and just got to assemble everything now, and those will just go into stock. Got the 2 Ohio mounts over here. It's turned out really nice. We got those assembled and shipped out today, so let's get to assembling, and I'll bring it back when I'm done. Well, there we go. Got them all finished up, loaded up, ready to go home. It's all turned out pretty nice. So admittedly, I started the video this week with no real clear of where I was going to go with it. But I kind of wound up talking earlier about growth of the business, and I think this is true of a lot of small businesses. Originally, when I started out, I just did woodworking because I liked it, and I like building stuff for myself. I like building stuff for other people. But my 9-to-5 work environment at the time, when I really started thinking about doing this full time, was pretty toxic, really. I had a manager at the time that was, well, he was a piece of work, let's just put it that way. And I wound up toughing it out because I think at that point I had about 10 years into the company that I was working for. So that would have been about 2007. So yeah, it's about right, about 10 years. And it's like, man, I really don't want to work here forever. And then I thought to myself, I don't really want to go work for anybody else either, because I'm going to be, same crap, different place. And so then 2008 hit. And of course, that was the big economy crash, at least for me anyways. And man, they cut our wages and everything. And so I kind of started this not at a good time and financially, really. Just started working at home a little bit, just making some stuff. We had just got our first Labrador Retriever, and we were kind of got addicted to running the hunt test game, and I needed a little extra cash to help support that, so I started making some stuff for our local club, and I made some signs for people that were in the club, and ribbon holders, and handler guns, and just little stuff, but nothing was steady. It's a very small market. And then fast forward a couple years, a buddy of mine who actually bought that dog from also started getting into taxidermy, and he says, "Hey, do you think you could make these turkey boards for me?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure, I can. I can make anything." And I think by then I'd gotten the CNC because I was trying to do some sign work which, by the way, is a really tough market to break into, and I was not very successful at that. That's why I don't do a lot of signs. But anyways, my buddy said, hey, can you make these turkey boards for me? And I'm like, yeah. So I made the first one, and he's like, it was going to be a tail wing mount. And he said, hey, how do we mount the wings on here? Like, there was no clear evidence online about how to mount wings, and I don't think there is to this day a true wing mount bracket, except for mine. So Steve and I worked together, figured out the dimensions, and figured out a nice way to clamp the wings in and everything. So that's really the heart of how my business started, was doing that. And then I decided that I just kept telling myself, boy, if my business would just grow, if it would just grow. So, like anything else, you got to take the first step. So at the time, everybody's like, you should sell on Etsy, you should sell on Etsy. I didn't know what Etsy was, never bought anything on Etsy, never looked at Etsy. So I think it was like New Year's Day. And that was 2017, I think. I decided, let's just put this stuff on, put a few things on Etsy, and I got a few sales, and I got a few more sales. I think the first year I might have had 20 sales. So it's like, oh, this is kind of cool, nice little side business, easy to keep up with, and I was still making other stuff, and I kept trying to come up with more products and more products and more products. And so fast forward a couple more years, we're into 2020. Internet sales, because of COVID, are through the roof, and man, that really launched me in. And I think the prior year I had bought my first little laser, and that was like the next big step. And then 2020 hit, and things went ballistic. I mean, I was selling like crazy. And again, the economy tanked. I think in June, they cut our wages 14%. I went through that before in 2008. And I knew darn well we were not, at least in my mind, we were not going to get any of that money back, the back pay. And that was a pretty significant hit. I'd really just started to get back on track, really. And we were in a financially positive spot at that point, and I was working like 80 or 90 hours a week trying to keep up with the woodworking business and plus work the 9 to 5. And basically I just came to terms with I need to quit, and they were treating me such that I was basically told if I didn't like it that I should leave. So talked it over with the wife, and she said, yeah, let's do it. So I quit in August something or other was my last day there after almost 26 years working at that place. I started there in high school, and I've been doing this ever since. And every day I try to get better. Every day I try to figure out a better way of doing something. It's like I talked earlier, finally bought a little garden shed, built a rack inside of it so I could store more lumber. I acquired more lumber. I'm sawing my own lumber with the help of my brother-in-law. Just every little piece is just, I should do a walk around of the shop of the different tools that's help improve. But you small business owners out there, if you're just starting out, number one, do what you love. Number two, figure out how to do it efficiently. Number three, know what your goal is. My goal is not to be real huge. I don't want to be a great big production shop. I want to make enough that we can live on, and we can enjoy life a little bit. Beyond that, hire my wife in full-time, at least part-time anyways. I don't know that I need her full-time, but part-time would be great. There are times when an extra set of hands helps. Right now, my CNC sitting here behind me, that is my only employee, full-time employee. It never calls in sick. It doesn't gripe too much. Does require a little bit of maintenance, but it does eat tooling sometimes. But other than that, he's a great employee. If you've got the room for a CNC, go for it, learn it, make it work for you, but it's got to work every day. If you're not into that, you can do everything by hand, of course. You could use your router table and templates and make different shapes and production stuff that way, but I choose not to do it that way. I want to let that thing run while I do all the other stuff. I have no trouble drilling holes and sanding and cutting stuff to length and stuff like that. It has its place. Like every other tool, it's got a purpose. It's just a tool. Some people frown on CNC and other people embrace it. I'm willing to embrace it. I think people that tend to frown on it maybe are either one of two things: a purist, or they have had no real exposure to it. Maybe they see it on TV, you know, like on a show of how's it made, and they see this machine working all by itself, and they don't understand all the work it takes to get that thing to make parts. So it's a huge learning curve. But anyways, just wanted to kind of round out this video and give a little bit of an insight as to where I've been. And I guess I should maybe finish up by telling you where we're going. So for the foreseeable future, I'm going to be in this shop. I think that's where I'm supposed to be. I think that's where God wants me. I'm here close to my parents. I can take the time with my wife's mom. Sometimes she needs help. I can take time if I need to go help her. But main thing is I'm here with my parents. Just kind of, I'm not taking care of them, but I'm keeping an eye on them. Let's put it that way. They do need help. It seems like increasingly, maybe once a week or every 2 weeks or whatever. There are just certain things that physically they can't do anymore, or they need help with the computer or the TV. Or if you got elderly parents, you'll know what I'm talking about. If you don't, you will. So yeah, in the next year or so, we're still going to be here. I'm going to upgrade my mini skid steer to something a little bit bigger. It's good, but it saved my back a few times this year already. But I need something just a little bit bigger, probably double its capacity. And then I'm really thinking hard about buying my own sawmill. It's not going to be a big one. It's not going to be a full hydraulic. I just don't have that kind of capital. I have no desire to go saw for other people. I just want to saw for myself, so it has to be something that'll pay for itself, just sawing for me. And I think I could make it do that. That's probably the two big investments coming down the pike. The mini skid, of course, will have to be used. Sawmill will probably buy new. I would like to have another trailer. You can never have enough trailers, I'm learning. There's no one trailer that fits the bill. My dump trailer that I bought is awesome. I don't know what I did before I had it. We use it on a very regular basis, not just for the business, but personal use as well. But yeah, that's where we're going. We're going to get there one step at a time. That's all any of us can do. So, hope you enjoyed this video. Hopefully you learned something, gave you some insight into my small business. Hopefully it applies to your small woodworking business if you have one. Maybe it will inspire you to start your own. You just gotta want it. You gotta want it very badly. And I'm right there. Hopefully, good Lord willing, we'll eventually get our own shop and be a little bit bigger. But right now, I'm pretty happy where I'm at. So that's it for today's video, and we will catch you on the next one.